Good morning and welcome to the webinar. My name is Cindy Rainsdon. I'm a registered dietitian and a program officer with the Nevada Department of Agriculture. We are recording this webinar and we will be taking questions at the end. If you do think of something during the webinar, you can always type it in the question box. And this morning we're going to be talking about Nevada's School Wellness Implementation Reporting Tool. And hopefully you all will find some good information from this. Today we're going to be talking about why we have this tool, how does it work, who is required to complete it, what are the due dates, are there completion incentives, some resources, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So why do we have this tool? In 2010, the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act was passed by the federal government, and in 2014, we received the Local School Wellness Policy Interim Rule, which put forth reporting requirements for schools and their wellness policy. And there's two different sets of questions or reporting requirements, and the annual questions are: what's the website address for your school wellness policy? How can the public receive or access a copy of your policy? A description of each school's progress in meeting their goals, and we'll talk about that a little further, a little bit later. A summary of each school's events or activities related to the local school wellness policy implementation, the name, position, title, and contact information for the school wellness policy coordinator, and information on how individuals and the public can get involved with the school wellness policy team. So these are the questions that the USDA would like to know annually about the school's progress for the school wellness policies. And then there's a few additional ones triennially that we need to obtain, and it's the indication of the extent to which schools under the jurisdiction of the LEA are in compliance with the local wellness policy. And in Nevada, our local education agencies are mostly school districts or residential child care institutions. We do have a couple of charter schools that fall under that as well. They also would like to know the indication of the extent to which the local wellness policy compares to a model school wellness policy, and then the description of progress made in attaining the goals. And as a state, we felt that the easiest way for us to get all this information and make it the same across the board for all of our sponsors was for us to create an online reporting tool that all of the schools within the state will be reporting on the same information in the same way. So how does the tool work? Like I said, we created an online reporting system, and all of the sponsors were asked to designate a point of contact. And this information, we contacted the superintendents for each school district, the designated official or an administrator to find out who they wanted that point of contact to be for the school wellness policy. And so these point of contacts will receive an email by the end of the week with their login information. They will then need to go in and input the information at the district or sponsor level. And once they've submitted this information, then each school or site will need to go in and answer the annual questions. And we'll get into this a little further, and hopefully it'll make sense as to what steps you need to take to get the reporting information completed. And down here at the bottom of the slide is the link to the Wellness Reporting Tool website. And when you go to that site, this is the screen that you're going to see. So first, we're going to talk about what you as a sponsor need to do to log in and input the information. So once you come to the website, there's two different ways that you can get in. As you can see, there's red circles up there on the screen. You can go to the sponsor login, or just on the right-hand side, there is a login button as well. Both of those link to the same page. So if you select either one, it will bring you to this site. And this is where you will log in using the information that we'll be sending out. If you are the wellness point of contact, you will be getting an email from us that has the password to enter the site, and you'll just use your email address and then the password we supply. So you'll just type it in that box, insert your password, and you can click the Remember Me button if you'd like. You don't have to. So then you'll just hit login, and once you're logged in, you'll see your email address in the top right corner. You'll also see a couple additional links on the top of the page, and if you want to change your password, if you have something that you use for everything and it's easier for you to remember, you can click on your email address in the top right corner, and it takes you to the account management page, and there is a link there to change your password. So you're able to do that if it's better for you. And then to get back to the home page, you'll just select the home button from the top row of options, and if you click on that, it takes you back to the home page. You'll see there's a couple different things. Home always brings you back to this main page. There's a school login, a sponsor login, and then you'll see the implementation reporting button along the top. And that's the one that you're going to want to click on if you are entering the information for the school district or sponsor. And if you click on that, it takes you to this page, and it says goals at the top, and it'll have your, if you're a school district, it'll have the residential child care institution at the top or the charter school for you at the top there. So you're going to want to create new, and that's going to take you to this page where you're going to input your goals and a little more information. So at the district level, if you have goals, you'll put your nutrition, education, and promotion goal in the top box, your physical activity goal in that second box, and then your other school wellness activities goal in that third box. So you're required to have a minimum of 3 goals, 1 from each category. So you'll input those 3, and then if you have additional goals, you can input those in the boxes below. You don't have to, but if you did decide to create extra goals, you can put those there as well. And then you'll see a little further down, we do want to know where your wellness policy is located. Just put in the website, and if it's on your school district site, that's great. Most of them are. And then you'll input the coordinator name, their title, a contact phone number, and an email address. And most likely that's going to be you, the person that's inputting the information. But if for some reason you are not the wellness coordinator at the sponsor or district level, then we'd like to know who that person is and get their contact information. If you remember, that's part of the federal requirements for reporting. So that information will be made available to the public along with the goals. Okay, so once you do that, you'll click the Create button at the bottom of the page. And when you go into here, you'll see, okay, so now there's something listed. We have the county or the school district, the school year. So each year it'll populate a new row, and you can go back and look at that. Your policy website will be listed there, and the status is going to be open. So to go in and look, you can go into the details, and if you click on that link, it'll tell you the sponsor name, school year, what your goals are, what your policy website is, and the last time, date and time that information was edited. And then under status description, it'll say either open or submitted, and this one is still open. We haven't finished yet for this year. And then you can go back to the list, And that'll take you back to this page that has your goals and other information. So to finish for the year, you need to be submitted, and we're still showing open. So initially, it gives you a second chance to go back in and make sure all the information you input is correct. So you'll click Edit, and you go back in here, and you'll edit your goals. Policy website, make sure all that information's correct. And if you aren't sure and you need to check something, then you can always save it at the bottom, and that will keep it in the open status. Once all the information is input and you double checked everything's correct, then you can submit it. And sponsors must submit their goals and general information before the site level data is entered. So before the schools get in and start answering those questions, we want to make sure that the information at the district or sponsor level is entered properly. So once you submit it, you can't go in and edit again. So you must contact the Nevada Department of Agriculture, and we're able to go in and unlock it so you can go back and edit it. But if you already have schools that have started to fill out that information, it's going to change that. So we want to make sure that everything's correct before the school districts submit that information. So your goals and information automatically populates on the site or school level forms. So this is why this step is very important, and we want to make sure that the correct information is on there before the schools get in here. So once you submit, you'll come back to this screen. You'll see your county, school year, your policy website, and then your status is going to show submitted. So if you notice on the right-hand side under the action column, that edit button's no longer there. So you aren't able to go in and make any changes. You can still go in and view the details. You can see all the information. You can see the last date and time that action was completed, but you can't make any edits to it. Okay, so this is just a little graphic, and we'll have this completed later this week. But once the schools start submitting information, the sponsors or school districts are going to see a dashboard that tells them the percentage of schools that have submitted their information. So you want to make sure that everything's at 100% completed. And we'll discuss what some possible incentives are for you guys to get that information in as quickly as possible. So now we'll talk a little bit about the schools and what they need to enter. And depending on the district and your size, you may want to have a school level representative entering the information for all the schools because each school is required to enter their own information about what they're doing for the wellness policy. So for them, they'll come to the same website, and instead of doing the sponsor login, you'll select school login from the top. And when you do that, it'll bring you to this page, and you're going to enter the school ID and the sponsor ID. So where did we get this information? Most of you are familiar with the annual free and reduced lunch report that's completed each fall. And in that report, which can be found on our website, if you go to nutrition.nv.gov and then under the data and reports, you'll find the free and reduced lunch report. And this report looks like this. The second column, you'll see district and school code. And that's the numbers that we're going to use for the school ID and the sponsor ID. As you notice, each district has its own sponsor ID. So for Carson City, which you see right up here, their district code is 13. And then each of the schools have their own individual number. So you'll take that information and input that on the site login. So if we go back to that, the school ID will do school 102, and the sponsor ID will just enter a 12. And then you hit login. And from there, you're taken to this page, the implementation report. And at the top, you'll notice that this one's for Mance Elementary School. And you want to make sure that the school is correct for the school that you're entering the information for. And then here in the middle under the goals, it will populate with the district level goals. So most districts have decided to create district level goals. If you have not, then that won't populate at all. And the schools will need to input that information for the goals for each of those. In the red circles there, that's where the imported information will come in from the district. So in the box below, then they'll enter the events or activities that were completed in support of the goal. And you'll do that for each of the goals, goal 1, 2, and 3. And if they had a goal 4 or 5, then those will show up there as well. And then, in addition to those, the school can create their own goals. And so then they can enter that information in the boxes below. So list the goals your school created in addition to the district goals. And if they have goals in that box, then they would need to list the events or activities that were completed in support of the school-defined goals. So that information may not need to be entered for each school, but they are able to do extra goals for themselves. Okay, and after they enter the goal information, if you scroll down, they're going to list the dates, times, and locations of the wellness policy meetings. In the requirements from the federal government, they need to have an advisory group. And as a state, we said that advisory group must meet at least 2 times annually. So we want to know when those meetings occurred and where. And that information may be helpful for people that want to get involved in the local school wellness committee and advisory group. And then we would like to know where they are held and if any issues and reports of noncompliance were addressed at those meetings. And we feel like this is an important piece. We want to make sure that the comments and complaints that we receive, we pass those along to the district, and then we expect them to at least discuss the issues and come up with any solutions to those and how they were addressed. And then the information on where parents, teachers, concerned citizens, anybody from the general public, who do they contact to get involved? Do you have a website? Is there a specific person? Are the meetings held at the same, the first Monday of every month at the same location and time? That information is going to be made publicly available, and so it's important for people to know if they want to get involved. How does that happen? And then at the very bottom, we'd like to know who's completing the information, what's their title, a phone number, and an email address. So if we need to contact them for any reason, if there's any questions about the information submitted, or if the district would like to know who submitted for this school, we have that information. So that is there at the bottom, and if they need to save it and come back at a later time, they're able to do that as well. There is a save button down at the bottom, and they're able to go in and edit the information, make changes and updates until they submit it. And so it's a good idea to save it, go back, check the information, and then if everything's correct, you can submit it. And so we'll talk a little bit about the due dates for this. So all schools should complete their reporting by June 1st of this year, and we'd like to get that done before the school year ends. It's a busy time of year, but we need this information, and it's easier to track people down before they break for summer. The sponsors and school districts should begin now inputting their information, getting this out to the local schools, and asking them to start completing it to ensure timely completion and to make sure that they have enough time to gather information if they need to. So we recommend that the districts and sponsors get started as soon as possible for this information. And then, is there an incentive for early completion? Well, there is. So, for 100% completion, the first 17 sponsors are going to receive a physical activity prize pack. And 100% is all schools reporting the information for the districts. And Health and Human Services has been great, and they had a grant that's allowing us to work together to provide this incentive for this information. And the prize packs are valued at over $650. There's some pictures of some of the things that you'll get for completing it. We believe that it's great, and hopefully it'll help you get your schools on board and get that information in as soon as possible. All right, and the Nevada Department of Agriculture is creating a sponsor user guide and a site level user guide